the connections you develop with your friends at a boarding school is something you cannot expect to make at all. And I believe Appleby really gives students the platform to find that somewhere.
Yeah. Hi everyone, so this is Maggie Ying. I am the Strategic Education Advisor based in Toronto. So today it's really my honor to be at Appleby and this really handsome gentleman, right? A grade 12 student, Ryan Dong. He is the head student ambassador of Appleby College this year. It is my honor to invite Ryan to tell us a little bit about his experience at Appleby, how did he choose Appleby 4 years ago, and also share some valuable advice for those students and families who are considering Appleby. Okay, Ryan, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So hi, my name is Ryan, and like you said, this is my 4th year at Appleby, and I've been boarding at Appleby since grade 9, and partially the reason for this is because both my parents have to travel inside and out the country, and they thought that a boarding school would be like really suitable for me. On top of that, being at Appleby for 4 years, I'm involved in a lot of clubs and co-curriculars, and more particularly, I love the martial arts co-curricular. It's something I've started at my old school, and that's one of the opportunities that Appleby gives a student, leadership opportunities. Just to make this more personal, I was born in Canada. I spent about 1 to 2 years, like when I was 2 years old in Canada, and went back to China really briefly. I did another 3 years in school in China at an international school, and then after the pandemic kind of occurred, I went back to Canada with my family, and then after that I joined Appleby, and I've been here ever since, boarding in grade 9.
I'm very curious, when you decided to apply for Appleby, you were still grade 8, right?
Grade 8, yeah.
At that time, what made you decide to go for a boarding program?
Yeah.
How were your parents thinking about? Were they worried about you, or like were they feel the same way like many other parents today? Oh, I really don't want to have my baby boy leave me. So what happened in your family at that time?
So during that time, like I said, my parents, they had like a really rigid work schedule, and there are a lot of times where they couldn't give me the care that I needed, right? So a lot of times I'll be home alone at school, and they thought that, being home alone, is very lonely, and how can you really keep up with your academic work? Sometimes there might not be like dinner, maybe I have to order out. And my parents, and mostly myself, I really thought that boarding school would be a good alternative. At first, any parent, they were scared of leaving me, right? Because I have also a sister who also studies she was studying in China during her high school years, and there was like a separation between my family and her. So they kind of carried this concern to me. It's like, well, from my parents' perspective, it's like, will my son also feel lonely? However, I spoke for myself. I said that eventually in university, everyone's going to have somewhat of independency, right? And it's better to develop these skills from an early age so that you callous your mind to know the duties that a person or an adult should fulfill from an early age. And I kind of think that's what Appleby does really well in its boarding program. Because compared to other schools that don't board, you're going home every day and your parents are making you food. Sometimes they might be doing your laundry. But at a boarding school, before I came here, I kind of assessed everything. It's like, I would have to do my own laundry. I'd have to, know when to get up to eat my food, because I know that no one will actually bring food to my room like my parents would. So then I kind of assessed it, and I also realized that I want to be a business entrepreneur in the future, and I weighed my odds, and I went towards the boarding path because I know it will bring me more skills to learn than just obstacles to face.
When did you start to have this idea of what you want to be in the future?
Yeah.
Because for many of my students who are in the day program, they always say, hey, Maggie, I don't know what I want to do. I find it's very difficult to decide what university path I want to pursue in the future. So as a boarding student, does it only happen to you, or most of your classmates also have this kind of early decision, like what kind of future career path they want to take?
So I think it varies between a lot of people. Partially reason why I was able to determine that I wanted to become a business entrepreneur is because ever since I was young, both my parents were also business entrepreneurs. So they've taken me the opportunity to go to trade shows, go to their offices. But in the sense of school, I think it's also normal if you don't know what you really want to do yet in let's say grade 10 or 11. Don't be anxious at all or scared thinking that I'm almost applying for university and I don't know what to do. In order to answer that question for yourself, immerse yourself in like a lot of clubs and co-curriculars, which is something Appleby does offer a lot. For example, like I joined the business entrepreneur club in like grade 9 and grade 10. So being immersed in that environment kind of just made me want to do business even more. But since you're in a new environment in high school, there's so many opportunities for you just to participate in these clubs, find passions, maybe something you didn't know you like, but once you join the club, you realize that you wanted to take this path. So just to answer your question, there is no strict, for example, like me, I was quite early in knowing what to do because both my parents are also business entrepreneurs, but I also have friends who still don't know what they're doing in like grade 11. But just get yourself out there. Don't be scared and kind of just follow with what you want to do, right? Sometimes people necessarily think about the money. Will I be able to sufficiently make myself a good life because I have a lot of money? But passion also really matters, and if you're happy or not, and that's why I kind of take it here.
So at Appleby, it seems that you are taking all the opportunities to get yourself engaged in different activities. So let me put it in a very simple question. What is your best experience here?
So my best experience at boarding school it's a very broad topic, but it's just being with your friends all the time.
Wow.
Right? So at Appleby College, all grade 12s have to board. And I've been boarding since grade 9, so I didn't really follow that rule. But since I'm boarding this year and all my friends are boarding this year, one thing I've heard from a common theme of why everyone likes school now is because you're always with your friends, right? But I've been able to experience that since grade 9. The connections you develop with your friends at a boarding school is something you cannot expect to make at all, right? Because at day school you might just go home at 5 o'clock and not see your friends until like 9 a.m. in the morning. But for me, after school, I go to dinner with my friends, I study with them, and then even after study time, we go play basketball, and then all the way until pretty much we sleep, right? So an experience coming from this is in grade 9. He's my best friend actually, and ever since then, the reason we've got so close is we spend so much time together other than just in classes, but during dinner time, the after hours of school. That's my best boarding experience, is just being so close with the people. And it's not just students, even teachers, because there's also teachers on campus. And it's just like such a supportive and inclusive community you get being at boarding at Appleby.
How about your relationship with the parents? I am a mom. I feel jealous if my child is getting so close with a friend that they might forget me.
So I have a lot of different experiences I can speak from. So I'm a local boarder, meaning I go home occasionally on the weekends.
Okay.
So some weekends I might stay because there's like activities and things like that. But yeah, before coming to Appleby, I was actually really scared of leaving my parents. So first 2 weeks in grade 9, I was really homesick. I called my parents every day and I just wanted to go home. Didn't want to really be here. But then you get used to it, right? So part of Appleby boarding is you spend so much time with your friends, opportunities like that. And just take little steps to approach your parents, right? So what I do is I call them ever so often, maybe like twice a week, check up with them, stay connected, texting them on your phone, things like that. And even as a local boarder, you can go home on the weekend, so the gap is not too great. And when you go home, the parents are always wanting to hear stories from you. And that's what I do all the time ever since grade 9. Go back, tell them stories. But even if you're an international boarder, I don't necessarily think that prevents you from still developing a strong relationship with your parents, still being able to call, FaceTime them, text them, and even during like longer breaks, such as winter breaks and March breaks, have the opportunity to go see your family.
Yeah, so true. Okay, so I believe you've done a lot of research about Appleby before you applied. So in what kind of approach have you used to research Appleby? I mean, if a family or a student is like getting ready for the application, and what kind of advice would you give to them?
Okay, yeah. So when I applied to Appleby College, I've done a lot of research more about, so obviously there's the basics like academics, does it have a good rank? Obviously that's very important, but I also researched a lot of unique things. So I found that in Appleby, there's something called like these fall tomogamy trips where all grade 9 students will have the opportunity to travel up north with like their advisor groups and their entire grade. And it's just like a lot of unique things I found on the Appleby website. Also concerning my I've also had an uncle and friend who like graduated from Appleby in 2019. So also making sure that, you get insider information. So other than just, doing website online, but also making sure you're hearing from people who've had the experience or contacting an admissions officer or even like a student ambassador like yourself.
Yes, very reasonable.
Sometimes there's only so much information you could get from like websites, but hearing from personal stories, that's what kind of made me so satisfied with the school.
Yeah.
So talking to my uncle, he talked about, how immersive the program is, how beautiful the campus was. You can't really believe it until you see it. So I took my first tour at Appleby as well. And just with all the research I've done, kind of just ticked off all the checklist.
Yes.
And I was so fascinated. Yeah.
And I believe at Appleby College, you've had a lot of experience.
Yeah.
I always told my students that life is remembered by moments.
Yeah.
Have you ever had some unexpected, very great learning moment from either an Appleby teacher or a boarding staff that made you feel that, oh my gosh, I've just, come out of my shell, stepped out of my comfort zone. And can you describe that moment?
Yeah, so a faculty, well, particularly my advisor was definitely one that really pushed me out of my shell. So what an advisor is as a new student, when you join high school in Appleby College, you'll be assigned with an advisor and advisees. So it's just people of your grade, and you guys stay together as a group until grade 12. And you guys come every Friday to discuss like things like academically. So ever since grade 9, I remember my advisor, I was really new and I didn't really know him that well. He didn't know me that well. And he said, Ryan, if you really want to take the most out of Appleby is just to get yourself out there, right? And whenever you face like challenges or obstacles, you have such a strong support system around you. Like you don't have to face these challenges on your own, which when I heard that at first, I was quite confused. But as quickly as academic challenges came, I had a guidance counselor I could go towards. When I had social problems with friends and things, I went to my advisor. So my advisor was definitely someone who really pushed me out of my shell, because after he gave me so much information as to the support systems of Appleby, I took his advice. I joined clubs I never joined before. I started playing rugby in grade 10.
Seriously?
Yeah, I never played rugby before and fell in love with it too. So I'm going to be playing it this year as well. And there's just so many things that I thought I wouldn't do, but it's the power of one person, right? It only takes one person to change your whole perspective of everything. And I believe Appleby really gives students the platform to find that someone.
Yeah. And that person may not be a parent.
Exactly.
Should be someone out of the family.
Yeah.
But you trust, right?
You trust, exactly.
Okay. So for the coming new grade 9 students, because you're the head student ambassador, but here for those newly coming students for boarding, what are the 2 most important pieces of advice that you would give to them?
So my first advice, I'm kind of just taking from personal experience, like what I did, and I know a lot of my other friends did, is just to be yourself, right? Oftentimes, a lot of students, they might fake some hobbies, fake some interests just to fit in a group. But Appleby, like there's a group you can find yourself almost anywhere, right?
Yeah.
People who like athletics, people who maybe like art. Be yourself, because if you really strive to be in a group that you don't necessarily want to be in, your time at Appleby will be really hard, right?
I see.
And I think one of the advantages that Appleby offers is that it's so diverse, right? We have students coming from all around the country, from Asia, North America, South America, Europe, right? So there's all these people of different interests and hobbies. And if you really want to, make a lot of friends and do well in this school, I feel like the advice would just be yourself, right? If before coming to Appleby, you really enjoy doing art, bring that art passion into Appleby, because you're gonna have people who also like to do art, and that's where people make the most sincere
Stay true
connections.
to yourself, right?
Exactly. And my second advice would have to be, I kind of also mentioned this a lot of times, but I really think I have to emphasize this, is just to take the opportunities that Appleby gives.
Stay open-minded.
Stay open-minded, right? Like I said, I played rugby in grade 10. The first thing that came to mind was injuries, right? But, I kind of got injured as well, but the fun that I took out of it, being with a group of boys who also want to play rugby, such as the bus rides to other schools, playing music, developing that sense of teamwork, those are things that you can't really get if you never try, right? So my piece of advice is try something you've never tried before. take those challenges, take that leap of faith, because sometimes you don't know if that can take a turn, right? Like I said, a lot of people also find the majors they want to do in university simply because of a club they joined in like grade 9 or co-curricular they did. So yeah, do things that you've never tried before. And, if you don't like it, it's fine. Maybe just don't do it again. But a lot of those times, students can find a place where they've actually enjoyed doing this.
Yeah, because it's also a kind of risk-taking.
Exactly.
Skills.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
And I would like to encourage those students who are considering Appleby, remember what Ryan just said. So don't fake yourself, stay true with yourself, and then stay open-minded. Try to have some risk-taking spirit. That would help you to have a much, much better high school boarding life, and hope everybody consider to be an Appleby boarding student. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.